behind their competitors, which is why it's naive to appeal to big business, to try and be kinder. Like when the stock market or a currency crashes and some of the press blames irresponsible speculators for only caring about profit. That's what speculators are employed for. If a bank catches an employee making a fortune by selling currency, they're not going to say, "What on earth are you doing?" Now, stop that at once and go and take this parcel of food to an old blind lady. Hardly anybody supports the idea of private trains, do they? Because even when they don't go upside down, they're so predictably late that when they get stuck, everyone just stares with resigned numbness, so it's like being in a First World War trench. Until you expect someone to say, "I don't know if this is the right time, but I've been scribbling a few lines of poetry." Yeah. The smell of the brake fluid wafts through the carriage. Shivering bodies all wilt like sick flowers. Word has it there's been a derailment at Harwich, and that's why we've sat here for 5 sodding hours. Hospitals just seem to be outlets for free enterprise. When my daughter was born, a woman burst into the delivery room when the baby was a few hours old and said,
"Oh, isn't she lovely? Now, would you like a high-quality photo of your baby at a very reasonable rate?"
Who else was likely to come wandering in? Soon they'll have actors at the end of the bed going,
"Look at the state of these sheets. Meconium, blood, afterbirth, that'll never come out. Might as well throw these away."
Not so fast. Normal washing powders simply break down when it comes to those awkward, sticky placenta stains. But new Persil Automatic Extra Plus has a special anti-umbilical ingredient that gets right behind the most stubborn afterbirth and cleanses with an orange whiteness you never thought possible.
Marx spent 15 years researching Capital. 6 months after the original deadline for the book, he answered the publisher's letter demanding the final copy by saying there was no need to worry as,
"I shall have finished soon, having finally begun the actual writing."
For all his analysis of work, the bit he seems to have left out is that employers aren't pleased when 6 months after you're supposed to have finished, you say to them, "Good news, I've started." Now, the irony of Capital was that while it may have contained the answer to the world's economic problems, it didn't solve Marx's, as it only sold 200 copies in the first 2 years. The lowest point came when, just as he and his family had been living for a week on bread and potatoes and were ill but couldn't afford to call a doctor, Marx received a telegram saying that Engels' wife had died. And he replied to Engels,
"The news of Mary's death surprised no less than it dismayed me."
But after 2 more lines, he wrote,
"I no longer know which way to turn either. If I don't get a larger sum, our household can scarcely survive another 2 weeks.
That's the pits for being self-centred, isn't it? If they were face to face, Engels would be saying, "Did you hear me? I said Mary has died." And Marx would be going, "I know, it's like me. I've had flu, a verruca, one thing after another." Things were so desperate that Jenny went to Paris to beg off a rich French friend. But just after she got there, the friend died. Though if it had been Karl, he'd have probably gone to see the bloke's family.
Yes?
Hello. I'm Karl Marx. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Your brother's died.
Oh, my God.
Yes, bit of a shock. Anyway, the thing is, he was going to lend me a few bob, but now he's gone. Obviously, that's a bit awkward, so I couldn't nab a score, could I? I'll pay you back as soon as I finish my next book. It's about atheism, actually. It proves there's no heaven or anything like that. You know, when you've gone, kaboom, that's the end, I'm afraid.
His state of mind was so dire, he began to wish his mother would die so that he could be bailed out by the inheritance. And when she did go, he wrote to Engels,
2 hours ago, a telegram arrived to say that my mother is dead. I already had 1 foot in the grave, and in the circumstances, I am needed more than the old woman.
But still, he kept working on his exposures of capitalism. The only time he nearly succumbed to getting a paid job was when he applied to be a railway clerk, but he was turned down for his illegible handwriting. So it's lucky his wife used to write his books out for him again, really, isn't it? Well, people now would be debating what he meant by religion is the orange of the people. And the slogan of the international communist movement would be Winkles of all calories unite. So his personal circumstances and his vision for the working class under capitalism were equally grim. But there was another side to the system that he called the bourgeois mode of production. Under capitalism, he said, the working class is compelled in factories and big offices and schools and hospitals to work together collectively, because workers can only defend their conditions by organising collectively into groups like trade unions. Marx believed that as the working class united, the divisions would fade away and the working class would grow in self-esteem, becoming capable of running society. To aid this working class resistance, in 1864, Marx helped to found the International Working Men's Association, which was a socialist and trade union organisation and not one of those clubs with a snooker hall in the back where everyone drinks light and bitter and a compere going...
We got a great turn coming on next, ladies and gentlemen. He's got dialectics, he's very, very funny, and he's not only got class, he's got class struggle. Put your hands together, let's hear it for Mr. Karl Marx.
And then Marx going, now I'd like to leave you with a little medley of a few numbers I think you all know. Oh, the surplus value goes to the boss, and the workers left with all that remains. So, workers of all countries, well, it's time to unite. You got nothing to lose but your chains. One of the best insights to Marx's character was the answers he gave to a questionnaire.
Favourite hero? Spartacus. Idea of happiness? To fight. Favourite motto? Everything should be doubted. Favourite dish? Fish.
Which I bet has caused at least one split in the Marxist movement somewhere. Over whether Marx was referring to halibut or cod. But compare Marx's answers to the answers given in a questionnaire by Tony Blair. Asked, what was the last dream you remember? He replied,
I've not had much chance for sleep, let alone dreams.
He seems to be unaware that dreams don't actually take up any more time than sleep. That's the marvellous thing about them. You can sleep and dream at the same time. Marx could have used his middle-class position that he was born with to become a respectable lawyer, but instead he pursued a dream of a world in which the ingenuity and spirit of every human could be tapped rather than squandered. In 1883, Marx died, aged 65, and 11 people came to his funeral. Like the other subjects of this series, he dared to use his imagination and his passion. Unlike Lord Byron, Aristotle, Leonardo da Vinci, Che Guevara, Billie Holiday and Marx, most of us won't compose the poem, think the thought, paint the painting, sing the song, write the book, or wear the beret that will change the world. But we can inject a little passion into a world that increasingly defines success as the qualities inherent in McDonald's Happy Meals, Nike sweatshops, B&Q stores, Delia Smith and Celine Dion, unlike those who've forgotten how to dream.
The Mark Steele lecture was written and performed by Mark Steele with the help of Martin Hyder and Carla Mendonça. The producer was Lucy Armitage.